Hi everyone. About a year ago I did a series on creating a path editor in Unity, and I've now worked on it a little further to turn it into a tool that's hopefully useful to some of you. So in this video I'm just going to walk through quickly how it works. Okay, so you can download this Path Creator folder from a link in the description, and once that's in your project, you can just add a new object to the scene, and add the Path Creator component to that, and you'll see this little path appearing in the scene view. Now, these blue dots are the control points, which allow you to define the sort of curvature of the path.
Do you want to know how to create a cool 2D tower defense game in Unity? Welcome to this course. My name is Gianni and I will teach you how to create this game from scratch. In this course, you will learn different skills, and at the end you will be able to handle things like events, scriptable objects, how to create cool user interface, how to develop relationship between classes, and how to share data. This course will start with Let's create this.
Thanks for tuning in at Brackies.
Hello everyone and welcome to the first video on creating a tower defense game in Unity. I'm really excited about this video, both because tower defense games are awesome to make, it's really fun and I have a lot of stuff that I want to show you, but also because this is the very first video I'm doing since going full-time with Brackies. I'm taking my chances and investing all of my time into the channel. That means that you will see more new content, such as this, and more content on the series we already have going, such as the multiplayer FPS and the 2D platformer course. So that's really exciting. And to make all of this possible, I've started a Patreon page, because let's face it, I do have to pay rent, where you can donate monthly to support me on my mission. And that's really exciting. The page itself looks like this. You can click the screen now to be taken over here. I offer some humble rewards in return, and the first 5 people to donate $25 or more will get whatever project they're working on featured on Twitter, Facebook, and on the forum. So if you're excited about this, just as I am, you should go here and at least check it out if it's something for you. I really appreciate who have already Unity, and I'm using version 5.3.5, but you can pretty much use any version that you want to. It's not going to matter too much for what we are going to be doing. So to create a new project, we are going to hit new, then we are going to type in the name of our project. That's in my case going to be Tower Defense. Defense tutorial, you can select the location and choose 3D. And the reason why is I recently sent out a poll on Facebook and Twitter asking whether or not the series should be in 3D or 2D, along with the question of what programming language we should be using. And the result of the poll is on the screen now, and that was of course 3D and C#. So that's what we're going to be doing. And then hit create project, which I've already done, and opened it up in Unity, and then it should look like this. So the first thing that I want to do here is populate our scene with some of the stuff that we are going to need in there, and some of these graphics might be temporary, but it's great to get something in there that we can use.
Do you write code? Tab 9 helps you code faster. Using artificial intelligence, Tab 9 predicts your next move, while keeping your code neat, smart, and safe. Tab 9. Write less.
Hi, Mystery Recapped here. Today, I'm going to explain a Japanese science fiction thriller film called AI Amok. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. Kosuke Kiryu is a brilliant scientist from Japan who has developed an advanced AI called Hope for medical purposes. His main motive for all the hard work he has put into the AI is his wife's cancer treatment. If the technology is approved by the government to be used in the medical sector, it will not only save his wife's life, but will be a revolutionary step in human development. At the beginning of the movie, Kiryu is in his lab working when his brother-in-law, Satoru Nishimura, comes to him with some paperwork. It turns
And the basics of any tower defense game is some kind of start and end point for your enemies to walk from one to another, and then a path that they take in getting there. And also we need some place where we can place turrets. In our case, any turret is going to be placed on a platform that we call a node. So let's go ahead and make a node right now. So right click in the hierarchy, go to 3D object, select cube, then we're going to reset the transform, do a scale of 4 by right now. So right click in the hierarchy, go to 3D object, select cube, cube. Then we're going to reset the transform. Do a scale of 4 by 1 by 4, and then hit F to zoom in on it. So you can see here that we are going to keep the box collider and the mesh renderer. That's all very fine. And what we can then do is rename this one to node and drag it down to the project. To make it into a prefab. Then we can create an empty game object, which we will also set the transform on and rename to nodes. And this is simply going to store all of our node create an empty game object which we will also set the transform on and rename to nodes. And this is simply going to store all of our node objects as children. So that's perfect. What we can do now is we can simply duplicate this node. Then we can move it over using control, and I'm going to leave a small space here. And I just want a bunch of nodes here that will small space. Then we can move it over using control, and I'm going to leave a small space here. And I just want a bunch of nodes here that will be a bunch of places that we can place turrets and also show the confines of our map. So let's go ahead and make a grid of some of these nodes. And of course, if you make your map too big, it's going to be very slow, this method of doing it. There are optimizations that you can make, but as long as you give your map a reasonable size, it's really not going to be an issue, especially because Unity has gotten so good at handling a lot of objects of the same type. So let's select these two by holding down Shift, hit Ctrl D to duplicate, and holding down Ctrl again to move them over. And keep doing this in shifting directions so that we end up with a complete square. And I will just keep doing this just a few more times to get a map of a reasonable size. And we can do this just once more. more here in this direction, and 1 time in the other direction. Of course, if this is going to be a mobile game, you will have to think more about performance, but this here is going to be fine for any reasonable desktop. It's going to be just fine. So all of our nodes are now in here, and the good thing is that we made it into a prefab, so if we change one, all of them will change. So what we can do now is simply collapse this nodes here, and then we will save our scene just to be on the safe side, and I'm going to call this the main scene. Save our scene just to be on the safe side, and I'm going to call this the main scene. And what we can do is now specify a path for our enemies to walk along. So I want our enemies to start up here. So I'm going to select this node and delete it, and end down here, select that node and delete it. And we will now do the same with any nodes that these enemies should walk over, and then delete them, and then instead create some kind of ground object that they will move along. So let's go ahead and make a path by simply selecting objects here. I want them to, and again I'm holding down shift to do this, I want them to, whoops, that was a wrong one. The transform is getting in the way there, so I want them to walk down there, then over here, and then up a bit. Then I want them to walk over, and then take a path down again. And this time I want them to go way down here, over here, and then around. And we can make them go up a bit and over and up and over. And then I want them to take the straight path down here to their final destination point. So this is what my path is going to look like. You can of course change yours to whatever you want and make different levels in this way. So this is going to be the first level, and what I'm going to do now is create some ground objects to fill out these empty spaces. So let's right click, go to 3D object, select cube again, reset the transform on this and name this a ground object. Then we can go ahead and maybe move this over again, holding down control. Make this a 4 by 4 by by default. You can watch it here. Zoom in on it by hitting F. Let's then create a new material for this. So create material and call this one ground. And we are going to drag it on there. And then let's change the albedo to something a bit more dark gray. Grayish. Then we can bump up the metallicness just a bit and turn the smoothness all the way down to make it a very matte material. So that looks smoothness all the way down to make it a very matte. Material. So that looks kind of great. And it's very clear that this node is different from the others. So that's perfect. And what we can then do is you can of course go with the same node design here, but instead I simply want to scale up this node to fill out the entire path. So in order to do this, let's maybe move it over towards the center here of this small area of the path. Then we can, instead of just scaling like this, we can go in and choose Edit Snap Settings. And here we can adjust how our objects snap to the grid. And in this case, we want the scale to snap every 1 units. So I'm going to scale it up here. Like this, we can go in and choose Edit Snap Settings. And here we can adjust how our path. Then we can, instead of just scaling like this, we can go in and choose Edit Snap Settings, and here we can adjust how our objects snap to the grid. And in this case, we want the scale to snap every 1 units. So I'm going to scale it up here. And it looks like every 1 unit actually wasn't perfect, because now we're getting this offset, which we don't want. So let's choose 0.1 again here, and then we can fine adjust this. So that's actually too much. So we can do 0.01, or you can simply type in the correct number up here, which I'm going to do. So let's try 29 here. Whoops, 29. And then move this over with our tool. And it's still offset because our movement is now offset. So what we can simply do is set the position here, and you can see this right here is the X position, to 17.5, and that's perfect. So now it's snapped correctly, and that looks fine. Then we can go ahead and duplicate this object, rotate it by 90 degrees, move it down here again by holding down Control, and you can see again that this is snapped incorrectly. So maybe we should set these to 0.5 on the X and Z. Every point doing this, we can again do this to fill out the and rotate it back. And I'm just going to do this to fill out the entire path, and when I'm done, I'm going to be back. Okay, so I'm done creating our map, and this looks just fine. You could of course spend more time on this than I do, but for the sake of the tutorial, let's continue. And let's right click in the hierarchy to create another empty object.